Nice. Grip it and rip it. Good. This is a college town, so we have to play by college rules. And we've been in Orson Welles' childhood long enough. I think we deserve a drink.
Stephen, we're still in Orson Welles' childhood, of course. But hope I will drink to that, if nothing else.
Cheers, my friend. I don't know if this is going at the front of the episode or if this is going to be a stinger, but this is it.
I don't know. Look, I'm drinking a change order from my new local brewery, Homewood Brewing Company.
Very nice.
In Homewood, Illinois. And God, I gotta say, I love being back in the suburbs. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, you just moved, and I am in the process of moving.
This is the first podcast I have recorded from my new place. I have not even recorded a Disenfranchised episode.
I'm so honored. This is the last podcast I ever record from this place. So there's some fun crossover.
Two ships passing in the night, Stephen and Hope.
You're still the one I drunk texted, which I think is hysterical. I don't really drunk text Bex, and I'm married to that motherfucker. Like,
you are.
Yeah. Because they get it all the time anyway. It's like, babe, I had a new and interesting thought about the Fifth Element. I swear it's a hot take. Nearly 30 years later. All right.
So when they're asleep in the next room and you don't have anyone to yell your drunken thoughts to, that's when Steven comes in.
No, that's the thing. I go to bed hours before they do.
Okay.
Like, my cat's starting to freak out now. It's only like 7:35. She's starting to freak out now because it's about the time when I climb into bed and start reading. So this is bedtime for her.
Okay. Poor thing.
And I only got to page 3 of the notes of this episode. Stephen, how many pages?
I'm looking now because it's been literally months since I typed these damn things out. 10. There's 10 pages of notes.
Of notes. I've decided this entire conversation from the beer crack is all going as the stinger before we actually start the episode. 10 fucking pages. We should make these once the show actually goes, we should make these a Patreon reward because these are fucking beautifully done.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm not really contributing much to the podcast, but you know all of this crazy wicked backstory of him, and I'm just like, I want to talk about movies.
We could have just done a blank check-esque podcast where we dig deep into all the films of Orson Welles.
But that's the thing. We're going to
get there.
Oh yeah.
But you also wanted to cover the radio shit, which I totally get because it's essential.
Because we haven't recorded in like 4 months. Yeah, let's sorry. I have a hair stuck down my bra. This is exclusive content you're only getting in the stinger of the show, kids.
The 10-minute stinger at the end of the episode.
Right, except bonus content. Secret track. It's a secret track. But shit, we were about to relitigate something. The original pitch was, what if we discussed every single piece of creative output by Orson Welles in chronological order?
Correct.
And then we also had the idea, let's do at least an episode of back history on the man himself before we actually get into the creative works.
Yeah.
And now we are entering into episode 4 of that.
Yeah. So the first episode was supposed to cover episodes basically 2 through 4.
Jesus.
That was supposed to be episode 1. And aren't you glad we broke that up?
Holy living shit. There's so much. There's so much,
which I didn't realize until I started looking at young Orson. And I looked at just how many pages, how much text was devoted to like these specific eras of his life. And I'm like, we're going to need a bigger boat.
It's really funny. I was looking through the bibliography of Dead Air, which I will formally introduce when we actually start recording the episode in 10 minutes. But I'm looking through the bibliography William Ellicott Hazelgrove used, and I'm like, oh, Stephen owns all of these. Okay. So the two most well-read people on earth of Orson Welles at this moment are William Ellicott Hazelgrove and Stephen Foxworthy.
That I don't know. Simon Callow's got to be up there. Like, he wrote like 3 of these biographies.
Right, but I'm talking like you're standing on the shoulders of giants, man.
Aren't we all?
Appreciate the view.
It's a nice view, I gotta say.
Who knows how much longer it'll last? Tequila, woo, tequila.
Sweet liquor eases the pain.
Ugh, Bree got me into the good shit. All of the guests at my wedding were like, "Who's that? Who's the Morticia Adams chick?" And I'm like, "Oh, she's just the coolest person I know. Do you know Ramona Flowers? That's her. That's yeah."
Here's the thing about you though. You know so many fucking cool people.
I have
it's like not fair how many fucking cool people you know.
I have managed to surround myself with people I all find deeply attractive and want to talk about everything with, which is why I keep inventing podcasts so I have an excuse to talk about these things with people. Brianna Lynn came over last night and we like got sidetracked for half an hour into a conversation about Dungeons and Dragons.
Nice.
I mean, I know that she and I both play the game like independently of one another. We've had a few conversations about it here and there, but like now we're just like, wait, hang on. Did we both build big titty goth girl self-insert character for Dungeons and Dragons, and should we start a podcast about it? And so
that's just what you need. Another
podcast. I'm gonna have a fucking podcast nook at my new place. I'm so excited. I'm gonna get red velvet curtains so I can turn it into this itty bitty tiny corner of the Red Room from Twin Peaks. So
this is I'm basically recording from my new podcast studio.
Fuck yeah. Nice.
I mean, it's my office. Like that half of my desk is for work, and this half of my desk is for everything else.
Anybody can have an office. Own the fact that you have a podcast studio. You are one of the most dedicated podcasters I've ever met, having known 3 of them. Having been in regular texting contact with 3 of them. Yeah, that's a bit more appropriate.
There you go.
You can always meet a podcaster online and just bully them into being your friends, kids. It worked for me twice. Twice.
I don't think I was a podcaster when we started chatting.
I don't know anymore.
No,
time means nothing to me.
I was, but I had long abandoned that podcast. That was Rule of Thirds, the first podcast I did, which was years ago.
Is this my 3rd podcast? No.
This is my 4th.
Nice.
The 3rd that I'm working on currently.
But who's counting? Let's be real. You know.
Apparently I am.
All right. We've been recording the postscript for 8 minutes now. Would you like to give it a few moments of silence? And do you want to start recording?
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, by way of introduction,
I don't think any words can explain a man's life.
The broadcasting system and its affiliated stations present Columbia Network takes pride in presenting.
We take you now to Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
Ladies and gentlemen, the director of the Mercury Theater and star of these broadcasts.
It was a voice. Just a voice. I never really saw him. He was only
the hero,
Orson Welles,
a great lover,
Orson Welles,
and a dirty dog.
Orson Welles.
Good morning, this is Orson Welles speaking.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Orson Welles.
This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen.
This is Orson Welles speaking.
I'm a Unicron.
Well, here it is. If anybody wants to see it.
I took too much tequila. That was a mistake. This is the start of the episode. Welcome to class. Fuck you.
All right, class, come on in, take your seats. We are in session.
You may have noticed it's been 4 months since we've held a class or recorded an episode to break kayfabe, but
I was going to say, you might not notice because we'll probably be releasing these concurrently regardless, but the last time we talked to you, it was, I want to say October 2024.
No, it was November. It was November. It was short.
Right. It was like 2 days after the election.
Stephen, we made a horrible mistake. I don't feel like I contributed a lot to that episode because I was mostly going, Jesus Christ.
I'm
happy to report just in terms of current events. Hi, I'm one of your TAs, Hope Stow. You may notice a change In that, we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm your TA, the stoner that wandered in from the rain.
And I am your TA who's been cooking the books and poring over them for the entire time, Mr. Stephen Foxworthy. You notice there has been absolutely no change.
Except that you've got two books. One that says show to the IRS. The other that says never show to the IRS. Yeah, what's up, motherfuckers? I got married. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I got married. I'm sipping on 1800 tequila. I live in the greatest city in the history of the universe, Philadelphia. We invented America. We can take it away. Go Birds. They won the Super Bowl. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. We watched Dunes Part 1 and 2. You know,
better use of your time, I think.
And we also bought a 5-foot wide beanbag called a love sack.
I've heard of the love sack. Yes,
it is. I have to say, it is heaven. This show is not sponsored, but Wells University takes no funding from Lovesack as a company.
But we are willing.
But we are fully willing. It's heaven. I fluff it up and then I fall face first into it. But Stephen, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I moved from the north side of Fuck.
Oh God.
I feel like the spirit descended and I'm speaking in tongues.
French champagne.
More like the American beer, but yes.
Yes. The size of your head.
I moved from the north side of Chicago to the south suburbs of Chicago. So
lovely.
I'm back in the suburbs and I'm loving it so far. Have my own dedicated podcast space. And so we've there's been a lot going on in the lives of these two podcasters, which is why it's been 4 months since we've gotten together to record one of these things. But with
any luck, it will be 2 weeks since you last heard from us.
Correct.
If we don't fuck this up. So
there's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
But here's something I will tell you, Hope. I miss the fuck out of you, girl.
I miss you too.
It is so good to talk to you again.
I miss you too. I have little to no memory of November to January because I mostly feel like I was planning a heist during that time. It's you can go to my new website, hiimhope.com. That's HIGH imhope.com. To check out the wedding photos.
Generally not a fan of puns, but that is one of the best ones.
It was my dad's idea. He got me my first podcast. He got me. I foisted my first podcast upon him. So I couldn't pass it up.
Attaboy Frank. Well done.
Go Frank. Go Frank.
Go Frank. Pause for drinks. But yeah, we're back with another class at Wells University. It's the same class, just another session.
Yep.
And this was to be the culmination of our first episode, and it is now our fourth.
And then you wrote 10 pages of notes just on this time frame that we are covering today.
From the fall of 1926 to, I want to say, the summer of 1931.
So let's start with that. And I'm going to go off of the onthisday.com website. And now my cat has decided to join me.
Hi, Mando.
She is indifferent. Probably because she's not wearing headphones.
That tracks.
So, 1926, a kind of an amazing year in terms of nonsense to talk about on this podcast, all told. But let's start with May 3rd. Britain's Trade Union Congress calls for the country's first ever general strike. Is in support of coal miners and lasts for 9 days. And that feels pertinent to today's society. Nice big general strike to the economy. September 25th, Henry Ford announces an 8-hour, 5-day work week for workers at Ford Motor Company. That's right, kids. Like so many things in history, blame Henry Ford. Go back in time and kill him. Let's see. Something about Russian Politburo throws out Leon Trotsky and his followers on October 19th. Let's see.
I am looking these up as you say them just to see if Wells has any thoughts. Nothing so far.
Nothing so far. Well, great, because we're about to move into, on this day, in this year, highlights of 1926 in film and TV.
Here we go.
All right. So, January 26th, John Logie Baird, if I'm saying that anywhere near correctly, I am willing to be corrected, gives the first public demonstration of television in his laboratory at London, which will, of course, eventually down the line, kill the radio star. May 19th, the National Broadcasting Company, NBC, founded by the Radio Corporation of America, RCA. So that's fun. A radio broadcasting company in a podcast about Orson Welles. It's a secret tool that will help us later.
Yeah, remember that. Write that down in your notes. That will be on the test.
Remember the name radio. Oh, God almighty. This is pretty cool. August 6th, Don Juan, starring John Barrymore, is released by Warner Brothers, the first feature-length film to utilize the Vitaphone sound-on-disc system with a synchronized musical score and sound effects.
One moment, there is something on Don Juan.
There is something on Don Juan. I had a feeling he would have something to say about Don Juan. I am vamping for you.
I went with my father to the world premiere in New York of Warner's first Vitaphone sound picture, which was Don Juan, starring Jack Barrymore.
Of course you did, Orson.
I think it was the opening night.
Of course you did, Orson. I was everywhere in history all at once.
He really was.
He really was the motherfucker.
It was really a silent with a synchronized soundtrack full of corny mood music, horse hooves, and clashing swords. But it was preceded by a few short items of authentic talkies. Burns and Allen, George Jessel telephoning his mother, and Giovanni Martinelli ripping the hell out of Pagliacci.
So not much has changed in cinema over the years.
My father lasted about half an hour.
9 years.
He says, my father lasted about a half an hour and then went up the aisle, dragging me with him. This, he said, ruins the movies forever. He never went back to a movie theater as long as he lived. Anyway,
wow.
he was a chum of Barrymore's, and that must have been the very worst Jack ever was. They'd put this little curly blonde wig on him, and he just looked diseased.
That's God, unfiltered, Orson. You'll love to hear it.
And this isn't even as unfiltered as he is in My Lunches with Orson, the Henry
Christ.
Jaglin book.
Oh, Christ. I'll read that eventually. I have too many lesbians to catch up on. August 18th, first televised weather map broadcast of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in Washington, D.C. Pretty fucking cool. And then finally on November 15th, the first formal radio network, RCA, takes over AT&T's 25-station network, NBC, including flagship station WEAF in NYC. There's so many acronyms in these paragraphs. It's dumb. It's a little stupid, but that's pretty cool. Radio's taken over the world. Nothing bad will come of it, I'm sure.
No,
certainly
not.
not.
We're certainly going to be talking about will change the way that broadcasting happens forever.
No, he certainly didn't get his. He certainly didn't get his true national start on a new platform. Was Orson Welles like a Netflix star of his day?
There's something to that.
There's a greater conversation to be had there.
Like, we can have that later when we talk about Orson going to Hollywood, because I think that's really where that starts to plug in. But there's something to that, I think.
Baby girl, I would really appreciate it if you didn't try to cozy up on the mic wire. You can come and like physically destroy my knee or something like that. Just get away from the laptop. This might come out. Or I won't, because I'm fundamentally lazy and I haven't opened a notes app. April 25th. Let's see if I can pronounce this. Giacomo Puccini's opera Turandot, not pronouncing any of these words correctly, premieres in Milan. I'm just going to start intentionally mispronouncing things.
You got Puccini right.
Did I? Amazing. The maladies of being a reader. You understand every word you read. You have no idea how to say any of them. Bex mocks me relentlessly. It's mean. November 8th.
You knew what you were signing up for, girl.
Yeah,
Don't sympathy here.
I said yes, and I do to that fucking frog. November 8th, George Gershwin and Ira Gershwin and P.G. Wodehouse's musical OK, spelled O-H-K-A-Y, exclamation point, opens at the Imperial Theater, New York City, and runs for 256 performances. Imperial Theater. I'd have to look that up. I'm pretty sure I saw Les Mis in that theater. I'd have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure that's where Les Mis had its Broadway original run. And then there's 1926 in sport, which is irrelevant to everything forever. Also in 1926, A.A. Milne's book Winnie the Pooh is released. Born in 1926, Ralph Abernathy. Elizabeth II, she's dead. Fuck you. Harper Lee. Let's see. Efrain Rios Montt, Leopoldo Galtieri, and Fidel Castro. And here's where we take an interest in things. 1926 was a crackerjack year for us specifically, because born in 1926, March 16th is Jerry Lewis. May 8th is David Attenborough. June 1st is Marilyn Monroe. June 28th is Mel fucking Brooks. July 14th is Harry Dean Stanton. And August 14th is Rene Goscinny, if I'm saying that at all correctly. Him, I don't quite know. So I hope that's okay. We got musicians. We got Miles Davis on May 26th. We got Tony Bennett on August 3rd. John Coltrane on September 23rd. And Chuck fucking Berry on October 18th. Side note, we're talking about radio being an amazing medium and a brand new medium at this point in history. Chuck Berry's out in fucking space.
Yeah, he is.
It doesn't get much better. Sometimes I think about just the golden record attached to the Voyager spacecraft, and I get really misty-eyed and melancholy. I'm like, scientists looked up at the stars and pondered the infinite vastness of space and our first message that we can conceivably have to life on other planets. And our first thought was, these alien bastards got to hear Chuck Berry. Johnny fucking be good. And then there's athletes that were born in 1926, and it's still irrelevant. Harry Houdini stays in a coffin underwater for a minute and a half before escaping.
Oh, hang on. Wells has got to have something to say about
He's got to have something to say about Houdini. Come on.
I'm pretty sure he saw Houdini.
Actors who died in 1926. Uh-oh. It's Harry Houdini on Halloween. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Some athletes died too. That's also still irrelevant.
Yep. I got some Houdini quotes.
Oh, please tell me some Houdini quotes. And after this, I'm just getting into famous people that got married. And that's boring as hell.
Yeah, can't have that. Who wants to hear about someone getting married?
Oh, there are world leaders. We got Calvin Coolidge. We got Joseph Stalin. Uh-oh. Nothing bad will happen there.
I don't think this Stalin fella is up to any kind of good.
Started making trouble in the neighborhood. What do we got, Stephen?
All right, here we go. So he's talking about magic. There's a lot of preamble here.
Is there a lot of preamble when Orson Welles is talking about magic? Jesus Christ.
Here's
more tequila.
I'm going to pick up with the Bogdanovich quote at the bottom. Bogdanovich says, Harry Houdini once told you never to perform a trick until you had practiced it 1,000 times. Have you applied that to any of your work? Wells says, he told me that, and immediately afterward, Carl Bremer, who was a manufacturer of magic, came into the dressing room with a vanishing lamp.
Sorry, hold up. The title manufacturer of magic. Like, you would later shorten that to Imagineer. Sorry, yes. Continue, please.
No,
go.
He's basically, this guy is the Michael Caine in The Prestige.
Well, of course, you have 3 steps to any magic trick. Sorry, continue. While I try to remember that quote properly.
It's not enough that you make something disappear. You have to bring it back.
First, you have the pledge. Then, the turn. Then, the prestige.
This show is really just a dumb excuse for us to do impressions at each other.
It always has been. It always has been. Any audience is, you're not an audience. You're just in the splash zone.
That's pretty much it. God forbid we do one of these things live.
I hope you brought your big Gallagher-esque plastic sheeting.
Yes, you're gonna need it.
Yeah. That's okay. Live show, we wreck a watermelon dressed up to look like Orson Welles. Continue. Okay, Harry Houdini, manufacturer of magic.
Yeah, Carl Bremer, who is the manufacturer of magic, came into the dressing room with a vanishing lamp and said, "Look at this, Harry. I just made this." Harry said, "Great, I'll put it in the show tonight." So the effect of his advice only lasted about 6 minutes until Carl Bremer came in with his vanishing lamp. So there you go.
So that is a metaphor. That's not a metaphor. An anecdote. There's the fucking word. I really feel like has a huge impact on Orson Welles for the rest of his fucking life. Because I don't want to read too far ahead because I'm too excited. I want to parcel it out for myself. But I picked up William Elliot let me try that again. William Elliot Hazelgrove, his new biography of Orson Welles covering specifically the War of the Worlds incident called Dead Air. And I gotta say, this book was written for me specifically. It fucking slaps. And just getting into his start in the radio, which we'll cover, 17 episodes from now, the man did not care to rehearse at all. He did most of his shit cold reading, and he still knocked that out of the park every goddamn time. So take an improv class, kids.
Yeah.
It helps.
Actually, I found out that the improv team that I started in college over 20 years ago is still performing.
Oh, that rips.
At our and I am now living 45 minutes from where I went to college, so I could just go see one of their improv shows. But then I'm like, who wants an old guy? Like, what college student wants an old guy showing up at the improv show going, back in my day, I used to do this too.
You kick the door down. Do you know who I am? I'm Orson Welles. Don't even do the impression. Fuck it. Just, hello.
The French.
I'm Orson Welles. I do appreciate that. That's our mic check. Like once the microphones are Oh gosh. Okay, so
there's a certain farm in California where Mrs. Buckley lives. In July, peas grow there.
Patreon stretch goal: we eat exclusively frozen peas for a week.
I can't do it.
That'll be hilarious on our digestive systems. We're too old. We can't. I attended a birthday party a year or two back where the theme was just potatoes. Everybody had to bring a potato-based dish.
Mm-hmm.
And like 3 hours into this party, it's like, I need a fucking, can I get some broccoli, please? Oh my God, literally protein. Anything. I'm dying.
My soul for protein.
I was almost just straight eating spoonfuls of like the bacon bits just for anything that wasn't a direct potato. It was,
At that point, you want like a baked potato bar with stuff like broccoli and chives and sour cream, because even the maker of the baked potato knew you gotta add a little bit more. Sometimes you gotta mix it up a little.
It's a good baseline, the humble potato. All right,
what can't it do?
Okay, let's start talking about fucking Orson Welles and going through these notes. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add? You've got your finger up.
Yes, before we do, I do want to just list my sources for, posterity. The information in today's notes was taken from Citizen Welles, a biography of Orson Welles by Mr. Frank Brady, Simon Callow's Orson Welles Volume 1, The Road to Xanadu, Patrick McGilligan's Young Orson, The Years of Luck and Genius on the Path to Citizen Kane, and of course the book I was just referencing with those quotes, the Orson Welles, Peter Bogdanovich book, This is Orson Welles. I will say a bulk of the notes did come from Young Orson, the Patrick McGilligan book.
I noticed, I have to again compliment your note-taking. I am terrified for when I take over an episode or two sometime in the near future when we start talking about my special interests of Orson Welles, which are coming up very, very soon.
Within the decade now. We're within a decade of that shit.
So close. We're so close. The medium has been invented. All we need is Orson to get there. But
honestly, it will probably be within the next 2 to 3 episodes, is my guess.
I would sure appreciate that. Holy God. Get this motherfucker to Ireland already. But your note-taking is immaculate, and your accreditation of sources is pristine.
Well, lest we forget, Hope, I was an actual educator for 8 years.
I know, and I hate academia, so I respect anybody that has the patience for this horse shit. I love learning, but I hate the structure and formality of it, which is why you'll notice that I'm hosting a college-based podcast and not in college.
The illusion of college.
Yeah, that's right. It's got the edifice is there. So anything else that you wanted to mention before we get into the notes? That was it?
That was the big thing. I just wanted to make sure I cited my sources. They're in the notes, of course, but I wanted to make sure that the audience knew.
Of course.
where I'm pulling from.
So the year is 1926. It's late 1926, and we're at the Todd School for Boys.
And speaking of the Todd School for Boys, we need to go a little deeper into the Todd School for Boys.
Okay.
The Todd School was it was established in 1848 by Richard.
It was established 22 years later.
By Richard Kimball Todd. Richard Kimball Todd probably
being the fugitive, right?
Yeah, told someone he did not kill his wife, and then they looked at him and said, "I don't care." And then he jumped off of a like sewage pipe into a dam.
Literally the only thing I know about that movie.
There's the one-armed man. I have watched the beginning of the fugitive at least 5 times. I have never finished that damn movie. For one reason or another, I've just never finished that movie.
The only thing that springs to mind with that for me is the, I forget the exact title of the movie. You could probably look it up, but it's the Leslie Nielsen movie spoofing The Fugitive. My wife was killed by a one-armed, one-legged, one-eared, one-eyed man. And it's just like, the whole reveal is that this guy just keeps having appendages pop off of him.
A very Leslie Nielsen.
It's pretty solid. I can't complain that much.
I feel like it's like with me 30 years later. Accused or something. I feel like it's something like that.
Something. You're gonna make me look it up.
I am.
Wrongfully accused.
Maybe something like that.
Okay. Now it's a race to see who can open IMDb on their phones faster.
I'm not trying, so go for it.
Okay, great. Well, I have the notes open and not your video, so you start belliviating about the Todd School for Boys.
Okay. Richard Kimball Todd was succeeded by Noble the King Todd in 1889, and he was actually head of school when Orson began attending in 1926. From the brochure, these are the words of Noble Hill. It is the spirit of loyalty, obedience, and service. There you have the idea of Todd in a nutshell. To state it concisely, it is the spirit of obedience. For where you have obedience, there will be loyalty and service, which just feels like a fucking prison, honestly.
It's really hard to escape that kind of thing in terms of if you're talking about slogans of institutions. Yeah.
Particularly for boys in this era.
Boys.
Right. It's a 10-acre campus in Woodstock, Illinois, which is about 60 miles northwest of Chicago. I am still planning a visit to see the one building that remains of the Todd School for Boys in Woodstock, Illinois. I'm planning on doing a Will's tour of the Midwest and basically just hitting all the major locations in and around Chicago and then getting up to Kenosha to see like his boyhood home. That's the plan. And I will probably record a special episode. My partner and I will probably wear lav mics and just go nuts, or record on my phone or something. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. I've investigated Bluetooth wireless horse shit, and we just got to figure out how to do a video call during it. So that'll be
there you go.
Thrillingly stupid. And it turns out I was right. The movie was wrongfully accused. Came out in 1998. And y'all, we squandered Leslie Nielsen as an actor. This dude did so much, but so little of it sticks in the memory. Like, we had it all with Leslie Nielsen. And one of his final movie credits is Spanish Movie, which is a parody of the fucking Scary Movie. When you just started putting the word movie after movies.
That was what parodies kind of devolved into in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, and hey, check it out. In 2009, he was also in a movie that relates to you and I, Stephen, and our personal history, Stan Helsing. That's great. 3 stars. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right, I'm closing that. We're done with Leslie Nielsen. Orson Welles' Todd School. You said 10-acre campus?
Yes, in Woodstock, Illinois, which is, again, not terribly far from where I am right now. So
just keep gloating about it. We're going to get to Grover's Mill
and all
fucking win.
And again, you're very close to New York City, a place where Wells spent a large, significant time doing both radio and theater. So
New York can suck it though. Philadelphia.
You're gonna have your day, girl, is all I'm saying.
I know. It's 2-ish. $900 to $1,000. Is that per year, or is that for the 26 to 27 semester?
That was for the year. So for the 26 to 27 school year, tuition's between $900 and $1,000, $19, $26, $27.
And like me, you keep a inflation calculator in your back pocket at all times for when you're watching movies.
It is on my tab. Like it is on my bookmark bar on my browser. That is between about $16,000 and $17,000, almost $18,000 in 2025 money.
Still not enough for a new car.
No.
Yeah. Huh.
But you could put maybe a motorcycle. I don't know. I don't know what motorcycle run.
A used car, a reasonable used car,
reasonably priced used. I don't think I've ever spent that on a car, but
no, my car that I bought in 2012 cost about $12,000, and 13 years later, that would not happen.
I've never bought a new car, and I never intend to. So.
Yeah, I made a mistake at the time, but whatever. I loved that car. Classes started in the 1st grade and ended after the 10th grade.
Right. So there was this expectation that after you finished at Todd, you would continue your final years of education elsewhere, or you would go on to a trade, basically. That was kind of the point.
That makes a lot of sense. I get it.
Yeah.
As somebody who works in manufacturing, learn a trade. It kicks ass.
There you go. And you probably end up making a lot more than I make, the guy who spent 4 years in college. So
I have a laser gun. I spent all day programming a robot. I'm living in my own science. You know what I did yesterday, Stephen? I played around in the punch shop, and I got to wield 3-foot wrenches. I got some real Rosie the Riveter shit going on. Or alternatively, if it's also your flavor, I'm in Dexter's laboratory. It kicks ass.
I was going to say that sounds very Vin Diesel versus Jason Statham in Fast Furious 7, but yeah.
I'm just like, oh no, it's not so much that I'm a trans woman, it's that my gender is actually 3-foot wrench. It's the best. It's the best. It's the bench. Everybody get yourself a 3-foot wrench. You'll just feel powerful with that shit.
I can only imagine.
It kicks ass.
What makes me feel powerful is pontificating about things that I know a lot about. So
you can go ahead and pontificate about how the daily chapel services were held in the school's assembly hall. Apparently, R.K. Todd was a Presbyterian.
He sure was, but let's not hold that against him. But yeah, I mean, it was originally a seminary, which implies biblical study.
3 different branches of Protestants just burning one another.
Protestantism is fucking wild. If I may just take a brief sidebar to say, as someone who studied religion in college for 4 years.
Yeah, we're in minute 37 of this podcast, and we're on page 1 of the notes. Yeah, let's boliviate about.
We're not even halfway through page 1. Okay. Is this gonna be a 2-parter? I don't fucking know.
Oh, please no. Oh, Christ. No, I need to get into this kid's childhood, please. Let's burn through these. You took amazing notes. Let us read them. Okay, go with your thing, please.
But no, I mean, okay, I'll just say Protestantism is wild. If you want to hear me talk about it, then we'll make a Patreon and make it a stretch goal.
No, I'm going to have you on once we pick back up with my other podcast, the Matrix podcast. I want to have you on to talk about the Matrix and religion. Like that sounds like a good time.
I can do Matrix and religion and Matrix and philosophy because I was absolutely a philosophy major.
We're going to have you on a bunch. That podcast hasn't been recorded since July because both of our lives exploded. So yeah, adult scheduling. It's shit.
It is shit.
Yeah.
Podcasting is like D&D, like by amplified by a weird degree in terms of scheduling.
In terms of scheduling, yeah, it's good that there's only the 2 people involved typically in a podcast, as opposed to 5 and dice.
I mean, particularly when it's, I don't know, when you have multiple podcasts that you need to record and you're juggling like the schedules of, you're in my schedule, and my 2 co-hosts at Disenfranchised, their schedules. The schedules of everybody involved in the pod and the pendulum. Like it's a whole thing.
Oh my God. Nightmares all around.
But yes, so daily chapel services, again, seminary implies religious study, and the boys were required to participate in daily marching drills and flag raising. So it was, I mean, again, very typical. I remember going to church camp as a kid and having to go out for a flag raising every fucking morning. Because there was a flag on campus, and so we would not at dawn. But then we would do the lowerings at dusk, though, for sure.
The way you say there was a flag on campus, it just there was we don't know what the flag was for or where it came from
or what manner of flag it was.
I've never seen this kind of flag before. Is it the Ecuadorian flag? Is it one of those weird new pride flags? Vexillology is not my forte.
There's a joke I want to make, but in the interest of the world being what it is right now, I'm refraining from making it.
I am going to just quietly point out that I am familiar with the word vexillology, and I'm not going to elaborate. So,
or should you, nor do I want you to.
The dress code included a suit and tie, and I bet that really worked for Orson, who wanted so desperately to be seen as an adult. Now, do we know if it was a full suit, or was it one of those like schoolboy suits that had like the shorts, like an AC/DC, or actual schoolboy shorts?
I think it depends on the season. To be honest with you,
that makes perfect sense.
That is my guess, because I think there are pictures of Orson, not necessarily in a suit and tie, but in like a dress shirt and slacks, and then maybe one in like a dress shirt and shorts. So, and I don't know, because eventually Noble's son takes over, and he seems a lot more chill than his dad. We'll get to Roger here shortly, and by shortly I mean in an hour and a half.
Jesus Christ.
He's on page 2 of the notes.
Okay, good.
But yeah, so I feel like those may have been loosened, and Orson was also in close with Roger Hill and his wife. So he was the kid that could get away with shit. If anyone could get away with shit at Todd, it was Orson. And we'll get into all of that.
If anyone could get away with anything, it was Orson. Like literally reading your notes, I only got to page like 3 or 4 before we were starting to record. So I'm really looking forward to the twist ending. It was Ghost the whole time. No, for real, it just reads like some of these paragraphs just read like poetry, where it just goes down this diagonal line of because this, then this, then this, and therefore whoops-a-doodles, welcome to the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh, I have to get this out into the world somewhere. So real fast. My one coworker and I were talking about just like dumb things that happen in this world, and he just kind of absentmindedly went, "Nope, not supernatural, just white people." And I'm like, yes, you want Rod Serling to walk out with a cigarette? Well, I bet you thought that this is some fucked up paranormal shit. Nope. Just white people.
Submitted for your approval. Just white people.
You are now entering the Twilight Zone. That one might work better in text rather than me saying the Twilight Zone. Oh, Christ.
Just the type of topsy-turvy people you meet when you enter the Twilight Zone. Despite all of this, McGilligan, author of Young Orson, describes the general vibe of the school as more home-like than regimented. He even says that the school promoted good citizenship and leadership, but it stressed self-expression over conformity, which really...
I'm sure it did. This sounds like the hippiest prep school of all time.
And this is 1926. So
yeah.
For 26, this is progressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's be real. The next year, Orson Welles' movie, wow, Buster Keaton's movie, The General, comes out, and we have to remember that the main character is named Johnny Gray because he's a Confederate. Oh no.
Oh
no. Oh no, yeah. Buster. Oh no, Buster.
What are you doing, Buster?
So yeah,
no.
this is weirdly progressive for 1927. But at the same time, it still reads like, oh no, we encourage free play in our students.
Right.
Hello, my name is Olive Branch. I probably shouldn't say that. I probably might actually know like 4 people named Olive Branch.
I was going to say, if anyone does, it's you. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear.
I know at least 2 people, and it's like, that's technically a name. It's actually a verb, but let's roll with it. So, You can't knock it. I get
No.
drunk and watch Star Wars, and whenever somebody says hope, I say, they're talking about me.
I was gonna say your name is is a noun. Like
I am insufferable. It's
you're
great.
a feeling, yeah. Callow even goes on to say that corporal punishment was rare, which again, for a prep school like this,
I love the next sentence you're about to say.
and then only at the insistence of the parents.
We used to be a proper country. We would only hit your children upon special parental consent.
You and you alone can
Yeah.
tell us to hit your kids.
Now, it can be verbal or it can be written. It can just be a handshake thing. But we are prepared to hit your kids if you want us to.
There's a cricket bat in the headmaster's office, and for an extra $25 a month, we'll engrave your child's name on it.
$25 a month seems steep to just have someone hit your child in 1927.
Well,
But well, if you're paying $1,000 for tuition,
right?
You know what? Yeah, those teachers aren't getting this regularly. They got to keep those rotator cuffs in check.
That's
that's so stupid. That's so stupid.
Callow goes on to say
That's
locks
stupid.
and keys were unknown and individual property rights respected. So there you go. Which brings us to September of 1926. Orson arrives at the Todd School for Boys at the tender age of 11. He initially roomed with a boy named John Dexter, who was a native of the great state of Illinois, who had been enrolled in Todd since the first grade. So he was kind of a lifer there. In Dexter's recollection, after lights out, Orson would get out of bed, light a bunch of candles, which was staunchly against regulation, and then would squirrel away into the closet, only to burst out moments later when Dexter was almost asleep, and burst out in full costume and makeup, reciting passages from Shakespeare, which just makes him just seem like the most insufferable little bastard.
I've had some bad roommates.
As have I.
Yeah, but wow, I think I would stab Orson Welles, like unabashedly. Like even if like I went into this like as a time traveler, knowing, like I think I would still like, you got to die, buddy.
Yeah, it should come as no surprise when I tell you that Dexter encouraged Orson to be a single room student.
I'm serious. This paragraph, I want it framed on my wall from September 1926 to eventually Dexter would convince Wells to get a single room. Parentheses YO 135. It just
Orson page 135.
It very much reads like poetry. I want it framed. It's beautiful. It's absolutely perfect. Christ alive.
On October 31st of the same year, Orson initially catches the attention of the third and final predominant father figure of his life, 30-year-old Roger Hill, at the annual Todd School Halloween costume party and variety show, wherein Orson had prepared a number of routines, including a spoof of Tennyson and a magic act, wherein Wells performed various tricks while dressed as Sherlock Holmes, accompanied by an upperclassman named Sherman Perlman as his Watson.
That sounds insane. And God, I wish something of that survived, because holy shit, that rules. Sherlock Holmes doing magic tricks.
Right? Fucking great.
With a kid named Sherman Perlman. Man, his parents must have hated him. That I've been saddled with some rough names in my life. But Sherman Perlman.
Right?
That sucks.
Yeah.
Wells would later call Perlman both my great pal and the closest friend I had at Todd. That is lovely. I love that. Yeah.
But let's talk about Roger Hill, or Skipper as he was affectionately known.
I'm sure he didn't give himself that nickname.
No, in fact, he did not.
Did he not?
No, he earned the nickname Skipper because he loved sailing. And he actually kept a boat on Lake Michigan.
Right. I keep forgetting these are well-to-do white people. So, of course, they love boating.
Yes. How dare you forget these are well-to-do white people?
How dare I, the person that ingests a heroic amount of Dramamine every day just to survive, standing on immobile rock, that boating is a hobby that people enjoy. fuck that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
my father and grandfather were both in the Navy. That missed me entirely.
I will crush up meclizine onto a mirror and do lines of it. I am not kidding. I will 100% do lines of meclizine, the active ingredient in Dramamine and Bonine and its associates. They say it tastes like raspberries. They are lying to you, but it is a lifesaver. We are not sponsored by them, but we are willing.
We are willing.
So willing.
Is that our new podcast catchphrase? We're not sponsored, but we are willing. Because if it is, I kind of dig it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Our next catchphrase, because it'll eventually just get worse and worse and worse with the innuendo, we'll just be ripping off the Dungeons and Daddies podcast. Sorry, not a BDSM podcast. So, yes, give it to me.
Not a BDSM podcast.
Not a BDSM podcast. Roger Hill.
Roger Hill is the son of Noble Hill. I told you we'd get to him eventually. Roger was also an alum of Todd himself. It makes sense that the headmaster's son would actually attend the school. So he's in his 30s, at the early 30s in 1926. Eventually, he leaves the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, which Champaign, a place I've been, great college town. And he marries Hortense Geddes, which, what a fucking name on her. Good heavens.
God, you could just have a girl named Hortense. We got to bring back those old names, man. I love those old names.
You said it earlier, girl, but I'm going to reiterate. We used to be a proper country.
We used to be a proper country. Hortense.
And
Hortense Geddes.
And with Hortense Geddes, and Geddes, interestingly enough, the name of one of the villainous characters in Citizen Kane.
Whoops. Uh-oh.
Boss Jim Geddes, the guy he runs for office against.
That's fine.
When he's running office.
That's fine. Harry Potter is a villain now in both It's a Wonderful Life and the real world. So that's exciting.
Oh, and I should also say...
he's also a gardener in the Pokemon animated series from the 90s.
He's
also,
it
hasn't kept going for 25
He's
years.
also a villain in Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 3.
Wait, hang on. Is that the Black Dossier?
No, that's in between volumes 2 and 3.
Okay.
Volume 3 is Century.
I kind of fell off with League. I can't lie.
I love it. I read it all and I reread it all. It's so fucking good.
I will have to do another deep dive because book 2, obviously, for reasons which are obvious, is kind of my favorite thing in the universe. So
yes, and we'll get to all of that, I'm sure.
I must have like some sort of psychological fetish or something for Martian tripods, I think. That's got to be what it is. But Hortense. Where am I putting the stress on that name?
I put it on the first syllable. Hortense is what
Hortense.
I do. And he also gets a gig at an advertising firm, or I guess an advertising gig at Montgomery Ward, working in the advertising department at Montgomery Ward in Chicago. And eventually he leaves the advertising job, but not Hortense, so that he can join the faculty at Todd. His dad talks him into coming back and joins the joins the faculty as athletic director. Excuse me. He really wasn't excited to be athletic director, but due to his hobby of boating and his apparent skill and knowledge of the sport of baseball, he actually apparently published a local bestseller called Let's Go Team, which was sort of a baseball guidebook. But Hill himself said he really never cared for the sport.
Point of order. You said baseball. The text that we're both reading from says basketball.
So
get your story straight, Stephen.
It is basketball.
Basketball.
I misread because I am a big dum-dum. And also...
You wrote 10 pages of notes, but sure. Big dum-dum. Sure.
Look, anyone can write
10 pages of fucking notes that have proper citations on them. Sure.
Anyone can write them. It takes a smart person to read them. Okay.
Now I just real fast. I know that like Orson loved this man. He was the third man, as it were, in his lineup of daddy figures.
Heyo.
Skipper. Fuck off. Nobody actually likes to be called Skipper.
Point of order. In Thailand, that man did not have a proper name. He did, but no one knows it because he's the skipper.
He's the skipper. God, that's sad. It's sad. But like the next thing that you have, yeah, Hill secretly did not care for the sport. He preferred music, theater, and poetry. Like I think about this a lot,
Mhm.
considering my personal history, but there's a
Right.
phrase that I find to be hilariously ironic when I say it personally, and a few of my friends, but me specifically. It's God grant me the confidence of a mediocre white man. This man trundles in, Nepo baby through and through, and he has vague understanding of what basketball is, and he can write a book called Let's Go Team and be hired on as because he likes sailing. That makes him qualified to teach a gym class at a school. Yeah, all
Yep.
right. All
Yep.
right. All right. Fine.
And one of the caveats for Roger joining the faculty was that his father placed him in charge of the school's drama and entertainment program.
There it is.
So he takes the job that he doesn't want because it affords him the opportunity to do something he does.
Not a thing that repeats throughout Hollywood and its history. Doing one
never.
for me and one for you. That never
Exactly.
happens. That never happens.
No.
I
I feel like if it did, we would have heard about it.
I'm sure we would have. Friggin' amazing.
Why don't you read that Wells quote?
Yeah,
about Hill
I
there?
feel bad because you're doing all of the reading, and I'm just kind of trundling my way along.
No, you're doing
and
a great
saying
job.
words like trundling. Wells later said of Hill, he was a great and direct influence on my life. I wanted to be like him. Everything he thought, I wanted to think, and that wasn't true of Dr. Bernstein or my father. Orson. Oh, man. Orson, I'm doing a piss poor impression of an impression of you, and my God, that line sucks ass, Orson.
Right?
Some men will become film legends and instead of going to therapy.
Right.
Fucking incredible.
Right.
Fucking
to avoid
incredible.
going to therapy, some men will just devote the body of their work to unpacking their daddy issues.
Right, yeah. Now,
Orson Welles, Steven Spielberg.
Excuse me, I'm going to go check out my Steven Spielberg collection over there.
Remember when we were comparing Steven Spielberg collections earlier this year?
You mean we're not still doing that?
Oh, shit. Are we?
I haven't added to my stock in a little while. West Side Story was my latest edition.
Which is fucking rules. Love that movie.
I'm super excited to see it.
You should watch it like immediately after we're done here, even though it's going to be like 1 a.m. in your time.
Oh, Christ, I'm going to die. Okay. See, my problem is I hate coffee. So I have no reliable way to ingest stupid amounts of caffeine without those disgusting energy drinks.
One of the best decisions I ever made in my life was the decision to enjoy coffee.
Oh, God, no, I can't do it. Every single partner I've ever had has loved coffee to the point of it being a detriment on my relationship. And Bex is the first one I've got that doesn't like coffee. And I need to keep this free from coffee, Stephen.
Okay. If you ever decide you want to try coffee, either of you, I have some tips because I used to hate coffee as well. So, okay. Point taken.
I'm drinking expensive tequila. I say expensive. It's mid-shelf. It's pretty good. He was initially repulsed by the school's athletic director, but upon discovering that the role was one Hill cared for significantly less than a drama director, if this sentence makes any sense, the two became fast friends. To be clear, the sentence makes perfect sense. I'm just reading quickly and drunk.
Right. And that's the problem with both of us right now is we've ingested alcohol.
Is that the problem with us? Is it a problem?
It's a problem with our ability to read the text in front of us, perhaps.
No, I'm just going to make the font bigger.
There you go.
Woo!
You got it.
I'm wearing glasses with blue blockers in them. Let's fucking go.
Oh, see, I'm just wearing my fucking contacts. Hill presided over the entirety of the drama program. That included the Slapstick Club and the Paint and Powder Club, both of which were responsible for putting on weekly Saturday evening entertainments for the school, as well as quote, Todd Troopers, which is a group of upperclassmen who were responsible for between 5 to 6 full-length plays per year, all of which were directed by Hill, who wrote several of them also.
God damn. What an absolute, what a grand coup running or having like several positions at a boys' school in 1926 is. You could just do or say or make up whatever program you want. Hey, we're going to have a slapstick club. Fuck you. Paint and powder club. There's no movies out yet like that we can take the kids to on a regular basis without a lot of money. Overhead projectors aren't a thing yet. Fuck you. We're going to have to do a fucking show every Saturday night.
Right, just to keep students entertained. And 5 to 6 full-length plays a year.
It's just, God, sometimes I'm just like, I'm really glad I picked up reading as a hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. That was a hobby for a lot of kids around that age. Like you could read a book or listen to the radio, right?
Now the radio was brand new, so no, you couldn't. So,
but I mean, it's easy to see why Orson would be drawn to a figure like this because he would become a figure like this.
Oh, absolutely.
The guy who just does it all himself. Like he's even when we get to the trial in like 10 years, we'll hear him basically say, oh yeah, I re-recorded a bunch of Tony Perkins's dialogue because I didn't like how he delivered it. And I defy you to tell me which passages I recorded and which ones he recorded because you can't fucking tell. What a fucking legend. Love that man. God.
Yeah.
There's a reason we're doing this.
What an insane, every time. Every time we talk about the length of this eventual podcast, it's going to get longer. So I'm really hoping that we get to the Transformers, the movie, before we both die in our 90s, surrounded by loved ones.
I have a shaky heart, so who's to say?
Hey, Alzheimer's runs in my family, so I figure I got about 30 years max. Before you start having to do a little extra legwork in reading these passages.
So what we're saying is
very politely agree to everything you say.
We're both fucked is basically what it comes down to.
Embrace the void. I have tequila.
I have 3 other beverages.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, I have tequila and this lovely Bella, where you been, Loca? Cup that was given to me as a wedding present with a young. He's still got the long-haired Jacob from the Twilight franchise. I have amazing friends. And you're one of them.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know you were a fan of the Twilight series.
Fan is a strong word.
Okay.
I think they're fun movies to scream at when you're drunk and surrounded by other lunatic girls.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Great. It's also really fun to just watch K-Stu and R-Pats like go from kind of engaged with the material to absolutely checked out. It's
that does sound fun. I'm not gonna lie.
It's an amazing feat in literary adaptive filmmaking in terms of they just did it straight. They didn't try to change really much of anything, and they just did it straight down the barrel. And those movies are insane. I have the Twilight Forever Blu-ray box set, which when it came out originally would have ran you about $90. I want to say got it for 16 on Amazon. Yeah, not Amazon, eBay, much more reliable source. But yeah, he has the skin of a killer, Bella. Like he's full of sparkles and sunshine. And then I watched The Batman, and that was the most kick-ass thing I've ever fucking seen. Side note, because I'm allowed to have a side note, stupidly. Do you know what the musical
side note of a side note? That's amazing.
It's a turducken of side notes. Fuck Inception. Let's bring back turducken as a point of reference.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, it's great. Hey, it's food-based, and Orson would appreciate that. Cheers, yes, Orson.
Particularly turducken, a thing stuffed inside a thing, stuffed inside a thing.
Orson would be livid if he found out that he didn't live to see like deep fried turkeys and all the crazy nonsense and shows like Is It Cake? He would have been great. He would have been a host on every food show, and
he would have absolutely known every time it was cake and every time it wasn't.
He would have been the greatest judge on any cooking program you'll ever see. Next time you watch like the Great British Bake Off, fuck you, Orson Welles is in there. Paul Hollywood, get out of here. That's the only name I retain from that show.
I watch it religiously. It's
sorry. The musical track written by Michael Giacchino for The Batman during the car chase sequence is called Highway to the Anger Zone.
Nice.
And I love that. I love that a professional musician who gets paid to write music for movies sat down and thought, what should I call this track? I know. Anyway,
Speaking of anger zone, things that will make hope livid is this next sentence. Callow infers that Orson had attempted at one point to seduce Hill based on his later comment, quote, "I'm the boy you could have had." And this will not be
bong in the other room.
This will not be the only time, and we got into this a little bit last week. We're going to get into it a little bit more. Orson and his history of accusing various adult figures of attempting to seduce him.
I am not an impartial person to talk about this, so
Right.
I can't really add anything without just kind of an incoherent rage coming down.
I told you.
Yeah, and I don't want to. There's a line that I quote all the time from one of my favorite shows, Gravity Falls.
Love that show.
Yeah, it's a great fucking show. There's a line that I quote all of the time, mostly because Bex and I spend so much time watching cartoons, and the protagonists of these cartoons are usually like kids, you know, Avatar, The Last Airbender, Owl House, stuff like that. They're usually kids. And the line is just, Seuss, because the character's name is Seuss. Seuss, these are children. And they mean it in a context of, why are we entrusting 12-year-olds to fight demonic entities? And in this context, it takes on something entirely different.
Right.
But I think that the quote still applies. Seuss,
these are
children. So anyway, December of 1926, Hill was so impressed by Orson's Holmesian magic show, again, poetry, that he gave the boy the lead role in Todd's annual nativity play as the Virgin Mary, which I think is the greatest thing I could have read today. Like,
I mean, that's Wells's first lead, essentially.
His first lead. Do we have any Virgin Mary quotes we can do some quick impersonations of? Just to really,
I was going to say I could
really
share you
some bridges on fire.
The fucking Magnificat from Matthew.
Oh my God.
I could send you that.
Yeah. The only Bible passage I have like memorized is Ezekiel 25:17.
And even that not accurate.
Who cares? It's Samuel Jackson.
No, I'm sorry. The Magnificat is not in Matthew. The Magnificat is in Luke. My apologies.
Oh, shame on you, former instructor of the Bible. Fucking amazing. The Virgin Mary, Orson Welles. God damn.
Within his first year, Orson is cast in at least 3 different Todd Troopers productions. Around the World, Finesse the Queen, and It Won't Be Long Now. Basically, the dance that he does in Around the World, he would repurpose for a little film he called Citizen Kane for the dance sequence in with the showgirls, and he's Charlie Kane. He's Charlie Kane. Yeah,
I have that GIF. It rules.
It's great.
Yeah, Citizen Kane. Heard of it?
Only one of the greatest movies of all time, and actually my favorite film of all time.
I mean,
I love it. It's such a good movie.
Look, no, it's kind of silly how like that's a point that you and I differ on, but still both of our favorite films are like, yours is 1941. I'm pretty sure mine's 1942, but like, both of our favorite films are like incredibly basic film nerd takes to have. Citizen Kane and Casablanca, like very basic takes.
Just like 2 of the greatest movies ever made. Like,
God, I cried so hard when I rewatched Casablanca this past year. Holy shit.
That movie fucking rules.
That movie owns.
I need to buy it on 4K. Like I need to. I haven't, and I need to.
So do I. I might piss off Bex and say nuts to the 3rd season of The Mandalorian 4K Steelbook. I kind of need Casablanca.
I mean, I'm gonna quote one of the great philosophers of our time when I ask you, "Por qué no los dos?"
Gosh darn it, you're right. Small Hispanic child. So that takes us to a major event in the history of this podcast, which is page 3 of the notes.
Yeah.
It's page, spring of 1927. 3 out of 10. We're at an hour 8 in our record so far.
In fairness, like 10 of those minutes are preamble that we're sticking at the end of the episode.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, 10 minutes of silence.
Right. I've lost track. Wells takes on a speaking and singing role in the spring extravaganza at Todd, Finesse the Queen, where he plays Detective William J. Spurns, who has a clue, and that's spelled CLEW.
Yes,
Do
which
we
is
have
how
a
it was spelled in the program for some. I think it's supposed to insinuate that he is dumb. The character he is playing is an idiot, is like a Clouseau type character.
I do love some Inspector Clouseau, and it's only a little incredibly racist.
Right.
God in heaven.
I mean, look, if racism is something that we're against, then Wells is going to give us plenty to be against later on in this, this episode.
Oh boy. Oh no. Oh no. Am I going to get blackface jump scared? You have to put that in the tags of your AO3 fanfic. Just a heads up.
No blackface in this one, I think, but Wells becomes very obsessed. I think this actually may have come into play last week too. Wells becomes very obsessed with Asia.
Oh no.
A thing that will influence years and years of his work. Is Wells's obsession with Asia. So do with that what you will. Wells's roommate, John
Is it
Dexter,
because World War II hasn't happened yet and middle-aged men have nothing to obsess over? Wow, gosh, it's only 1927 and I want to get obsessed with something.
I know, Asia.
Right.
And it's this idea that it's this other nation, this other continent that is full of these strange and exotic things, and they do things differently. They drink tea. And, there's this mysticism around.
I've never heard of anywhere else in the universe that drinks tea. I know. I'm speaking from a place of 2025. I know.
We're a country that chucked that shit into the harbor, okay?
That's extremely valid. Forgetting my roots.
How dare you?
How dare you get to Philadelphia. You're staying for like 3 months because we got a lot to do, including the American Revolutionary Museum, where they have sampled giant blocks of dried tea that they would have hurled into the harbor. It wasn't loose leaf like you think. It was these blocks that it was bricks of tea, and I thought that was fascinating.
That sounds awesome. I want a tea brick.
So then the next terrible thing that happens is his roommate, John Dexter, played the leading lady, and Wells himself did his makeup. He had a crush on me every time we did that show, Dexter would later say. Oh, good.
This notion, I mean, the notion of Wells's bisexuality starts to kind of make itself known here. Like, there is this rumor that Wells himself was bisexual, like a lot of people in Hollywood, but was closeted about it.
I mean, I completely understand as a extremely queer person myself. Like, it's the joke is bisexuality wasn't invented until like 1996 when it was on the cover of Time magazine or some horse shit. So
right.
It was, we got to get out of this. I have a whole other podcast about this. It's called The Matrix Reclamations, but you got to get out of that binary way of thinking.
Great fucking podcast. Exactly.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to getting back into it.
I'm looking forward to listening more episodes.
Every now and then, Ella and I just text one another. It's like, hey, do you want to talk about The Matrix? God, I have too many stupid esoteric special interests and friends to talk about them with, and not enough time. But yeah, it's like, I fully get that as like a schoolboy crush sort of thing. That's just a crush on a classmate.
Exactly.
It's nothing horrible. Besides Seuss, these are children.
Wells quickly establishes himself as an indispensable part of the Todd Troopers. He honestly is working just as hard. Works just as hard off stage as he does on. Gains more and more control of, quote, lighting, sets, makeup, and costumes for the various Todd productions. He's essentially doing everything he can to become Hill's number 2 as a means of exercising control and being able to stage the shows he wants to stage. And we'll see him over the course of this episode, which is all about the Todd School. We'll see him becoming more and more asserting more and more control over the program as he progresses through the Todd School.
Yeah, became important at work by accident, and it's killing me. Only this is the opposite. He's intentionally ingratiating himself into the theater.
Because again, this is the thing he loves to do. This is
And,
the thing that was instilled in him by his mother. So,
right, and his supplemental father figure.
Correct.
Of course. And now, oh God, this is about as far as I got in catching up with the notes.
Do you want me to take the Richard stuff?
I'll tap in and out. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I don't know how lucidly I can explain my thoughts right now.
The Richard stuff is tough because it's a different era, and it's basically mental illness being treated in the 20s, and so it's really fucking tough.
Yeah. The next few minutes are gonna suck eggs for anybody that cares about mental health treatment.
Yeah, so I mean, trigger warning, I suppose, at this point.
But in the spring of 1927, Wells' brother Richard, now 22, is diagnosed with, and I hate this collection of syllables, dementia simplex.
Gross.
Which McGilligan describes as a broad subtype of schizophrenia characterized by slow, progressive deterioration and mental inadequacy through the term, though the term was often used as a catch-all for unspecified mental illness. I hate literally everything about that. Like, knowing very little about Richard Wells, and obviously very little of of the documentation and treatment and everything survived, which we will get into in 3 paragraphs. So 6 months from now, you just read about these historical figures and you're just like, oh, that's just autism. They're just on the spectrum.
Right.
They don't have a real coping mechanism. They get overwhelmed a little too easily and have, like, eventually you're going to have a break. As some of my friends call a grippy sock vacation.
There you go.
And it's just like, but people didn't care to fucking learn. Something I think about a lot before we get into the next few paragraphs, which are also going to suck, is George Carlin had a bit about shell shock and how eventually the syllables morphed from shell shock to post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, as somebody with PTSD, it's much more accurate,
right?
And you're able to study it a little bit more. But adding all of those syllables really takes away from the impact of, it sucks living with this mental illness. Like, you're not neurotypical, whether it's like, from birth, like with autism, or earned the hard way with PTSD.
And I think shortening it to PTSD kind of gives it a little more impact in some ways, honestly.
Do you know PTSD wasn't like officially on the medical books until like 1988?
I was going to say it was fairly within our lifetimes. Like, that's insane.
It's fucking PTSD as a medical concept is a year older than the concept of credit scores. This is a dumb, stupid. I know. Credit scores are younger than both of us, Stephen, and I hate that. This is a dumb society we've created for ourselves, and the best thing that we can do is to keep going through this collection of paragraphs, because God damn it, in May, Dick signed paperwork to have Richard declared mentally incompetent and remanded to State Hospital for the Insane at Kankakee, currently the Shapiro Developmental Center.
By the way, Kankakee is the adjoining city next to where I went to college, and I can absolutely probably visit this place too.
God in heaven. Pour one out for Richard, man. Callow suggests that Dick and Dr. Bernstein conspired to have Richard institutionalized. Yeah, that makes sense. This is a guy who's probably not getting, he was definitely not getting the support he needs.
No, absolutely not.
And
at no point either.
It's disgusting.
It really is.
Over the next course of 8 years, Richard would continue to fight his diagnosis and institutionalization every chance he got. Go, Richard. You keep going for a paragraph, please.
Yeah, McGilligan asserts that the records of Richard's institutionalization were shielded by Illinois law or destroyed in a Kankakee fire. I mean, and the Kankakee Fire is like a big event in the history of Kankakee. As someone who went to school not far from there, I can tell you it's a thing.
Yeah, but to read those course of those few paragraphs, and it's just like all the records were destroyed in a Kankakee fire. It's like, well, that's a little suspect. Yeah.
But basically, there's no way to know what treatments he was subjected to while he was in that institution.
Ugh.
So God knows what the man actually went through there.
I can't even begin to fathom it.
McGilligan
The blow is slightly softened by the next paragraph.
Right.
So I'm getting a little bit of whiplash here, but we'll roll with it.
Yeah. McGilligan also says that the facility itself at the Kankakee State Hospital for the Insane, currently the Shapiro Developmental Center, was a 1,000-acre campus that had 80 buildings for nearly 4,000 patients, a golf course, a dance hall, a movie viewing area, and also occupational therapy. So I mean,
so this is like the white collar prison of mental institutions.
This is the Todd School for boys of mental institutions.
Yeah, it's
the high class white people version of institutionalization.
See, my brain immediately goes to either the post Ronald Reagan mental hospitals, of which I've toured a few of them, or the fucking like Renfield place in Dracula. Like those are my two main touch points. I don't personally think, what if it had a golf course for white people? That's,
See, and my touch point is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So
we're
not far off. Yeah.
Institutionalization sucks ass.
Mm-hmm.
Give people the mutual aid that they need. It is possible to be excellent to each other and party on dudes. But meanwhile, Orson and Dr. Bernstein were touring New Orleans, Havana, and the Caribbean, thus shielding Orson from the unpleasantness.
Yes, the unpleasantness of his older brother.
I would strangle some of these people with my bare hands.
Upon his return to Todd, Orson begins to prolifically contribute to the quarterly periodical, which is called The Red and White, overseen by, you guessed it, Roger Hill.
Nobody saw this coming.
His contributions included illustrations, poetry compositions, several of which McGilligan includes in their entirety in Young Orson, which I can, if you would like to read one, I don't know if you want to diverge that much time, there is one called At the Call of the Drum and Fife, listed in its entirety in Young Orson, if you would like to hear it.
Absolutely. Let's fucking go.
Fucking A. Hold on one moment.
Okay. I'm going to hit pause on the record.
So I have the book.
You have the book.
At the Call of the Drum and Fife, which is Orson's ode to the great and terrible battles of World War I, at the time called the Great War. At the Call of the Drum and Fife by Orson Welles. From scorching heat to freezing cold, the men of whom these tales are told come from every walk of life, come at the call of the drum and fife. From cobblers' boys to rich men's sons, they came to fight the tyrant Huns, entranced by the song of blood and strife, marched to the war with the drum and fife. Through fiery rain and gory mud, the boys who bathed in the cleansing of blood, sacrificing more than life, marched to hell with the drum and fife.
God damn.
And he
wrote that when he was like 12?
He's like 11.
11?
Yeah, he's like 11 years old at this point.
Christ.
Maybe 12.
Jesus
maybe
Christ.
Like newly 12. But yeah.
Like the example is, of course, always like, he made Citizen Kane when he was 26. You could say literally anything about this man and his relative age, and it would make no sense whatsoever.
I'll have the exact quote in a later episode, but there's this quote that he always said, like, I was called a prodigy so often or I was called a genius so often when I was growing up that it wasn't until I hit like 30 that I realized maybe I wasn't. Like,
hey, gifted kid burnout. It's real.
Exactly.
I get
That's
it, man.
100% what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, it is 100%. And like, he is the poster child for the gifted kid. Honestly. Really.
Oh boy. Oh boy, why am I so obsessed with like autistic queers? Why is that my jam in
I
life?
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
what does
what's up with
that say
that?
about you, really?
I don't know. I
That
don't.
you are an
I,
autistic
I
queer?
have. I mean, to dip briefly back into mental health and all that. Bex pointed out recently that PTSD and autism actually share many symptoms,
Hmm,
which might be why they and I get along so well. And that's
interesting.
a little fun to think about in the relation to every single friend I have. I'm like,
Interesting.
oh no, what do you mean we all have special interests? Interesting.
and,
Um,
and
Call
we
of
can
Dr-
all unpack those at the drop of a hat?
Oh
Weird.
boy. Oh boy. I can give you a full psychological breakdown on why I am obsessed with movies in general, but that's a
Mm.
different episode.
We'll get there when we
Yeah.
start talking about the movies.
The movies of Orson's time at Todd. Hill would later say, in many a school, he would have been very strange and might have had trouble. Todd was nutty enough and unique enough so that the things he could do were appreciated by the toughest football player in the place.
Which, I mean, good for him,
Yeah,
honestly.
good for him. Good for him.
That probably is, Todd is probably the only place he could go that would have kept him from being relentlessly bullied.
As a weightlifter and personal trainer who has a Matrix back tattoo, yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Foot in both worlds. Let's fucking
There
go.
you go.
Have you seen my leg in that one wedding photo? Split squats pay off, kids.
Touche.
Safety first, but do your split squats.
If in case you're wondering what she's talking about,
You just go look at
hiimhope.com.
Yeah, go look at my. We've already plugged. We'll plug later, but go look at my leg. I worked very hard on that leg. Do your split squats.
It's a nice leg.
Drink your Ovaltine. Thank you. Summer of 1927.
Orson comes back to Grand Detour, Illinois for the summer and to the Hotel Sheffield, which his father had purchased in 1925. Understandably, Wells does not get along well with the other boys due to his complete lack of interest in sports, but did find ways to entertain the girls in town with impromptu shows, playing every part, both male and female, in various Shakespearean scenes.
Again, another thing that reads is like, oh yeah, this is a young queer autistic kid.
Right.
Like, oh no, okay. I'm not saying he was, 'cause how the fuck would we know at this point anyway?
Exactly.
But like, you can get a read in that direction. Although that is also keeping in tradition of Shakespeare in general, which is fun.
McGilligan suggests, but really can't prove. It's kind of like a, hey, maybe this happened. This would be cool. That Booth Tarkington, the Indianapolis native who was the author of The Magnificent Ambersons, a book that Orson would later translate to film, may at some point have dined or stayed at the Hotel Sheffield during Wells's tenure as owner. But that is conjecture, and there is absolutely no basis in reality whatsoever. It is merely a possibility.
And nobody's ever told a mistruth on the internet, as we all know.
At least of whom Orson Welles. That man always spoke 100% honestly about everything he said.
Especially himself. He only ever spoke the complete truth. Wells would look fondly on that last summer in the Grand Detour, being driven to Dixon with his father to see movies or sitting on the front porch of the Sheffield while his father chain smoked. It was wholesome for about 30 seconds there.
Almost. Almost.
And his father's fond habit of cancer. Yeah.
We'll get... Be careful. Again, this will come up later.
Every single person we're talking about is dead. I know.
Correct.
I know.
Decades later, Wells would refer to Grand Detour as the closest thing to a rosebud he ever had.
Oh, man.
Which, again,
man.
When we talked about the death of his mother, he told Bogdanovich, I have no rosebuds, but would call this tiny town in Illinois that his father, tried to create a business in, the closest thing he ever had to that. So
only a little sad.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
speaking of a little sad, Dick continues to suffer from heart disease. which, is not helped by his constant drinking and smoking.
Your notes are sublime, man. I
Thank
freaking
you.
love this.
Thank you. Learning a
You're,
lesson.
you're not exactly editorializing. You're being accurate, but like how the Onion is accurate. It's great. It's great. I love it.
Learning a lesson from his late wife. That summer, Dick does draw up a last will and testament, knowing in effect his days are numbered. Beatrice did not have one, and so he realizes I should probably get one of these and drafts a will. He knows he's not doing well.
No.
And he knows he's not changing any of his habits to make his life better.
As he continues his fond hobby of slow motion suicide via substance abuse. Yeah, woof,
Right.
man. Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, let's be honest, like his medication is essentially gin. Like that is part of his his health regimen. So at that point, he's fucked. Let's be honest.
This was also 1927. Like we can also bitch on about the actual, like the physical medical health systems in place in 1927, which were not great. If you're ever in Philadelphia, come visit the Mutter Museum. You'll learn about all of the horrible things we have in human history. Plus, there's a wall of skulls. It rolls. But the internet joke is like you could be a doctor in Civil War times and be like, "Hey, doctor, I've got a headache," and you just be like, "Yeah, you got ghosts in your blood. You should do cocaine about it." Like
exactly.
You or I having a loose working knowledge of like what ibuprofen does are more qualified than some of these doctors.
And I mean, let's not forget that Dr. Bernstein is, for all intents and purposes, Dick Wells's actual physician, and in addition to being Orson's other guardian. Like,
who they previously had a somewhat competitive relationship. If I'm remembering our past notes, your past notes.
Well, and I mean, and again, that's again, part of that is conjecture. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But
we can let the biographers duke it out.
Exactly.
In the athletics department.
We're presenting as many sides as we can and letting the world sort it out, basically. It's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, we're allowing equal platforms to all opinions, just like Fox News. Woof.
Fuck you.
Hey, to be fair, probably our best and simultaneously worst source is Orson Welles himself.
And that is 100% true, which is why This Is Orson Welles is a primary source, but only one source.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, so you get all these amazing viewpoints of what's going on. So.
It's also why I'm not drawing a lot from Barbara Leeming's biography of Welles, because that is just pure Welles at the end of his life, raconteur, like just talking to be heard kind of thing.
Orson.
So I'm not drawing a lot from that biography. I will draw a little from it as we go, but it's not a primary source for me.
Yeah. In by the time we make First Contact in, I think 2066 in the Star Trek timeline, we will cover more of that later in Orson Welles' life. Although now, while you read the next paragraph, I'm going to Google First Contact.
Sure. Due to his own extraordinary advances that Dick had made to his son Richard, as well as Richard's, quote, apparent irresponsibility and ingratitude, Dick is only planning to leave 1/7 of his total estate to Richard. Orson then would stand to inherit the remaining 6/7 of the estate, which is
Jesus Christ
sizable. We'll get into how big the estate is later on in these notes when Dick actually does pass away. In autumn of 1927, Welles returns to Todd, and at Todd, Noble Hill, the king himself, announces that he is going to be stepping down as headmaster and begins transitioning the skipper himself, Roger Hill, into the headmaster role, which Roger would have fully assumed then by the end of the 1928 school year. So by the spring of this year, Hill is headmaster for all intents and purposes. In a conversation with Peter Bogdanovich, Wills would, quote, misremember, claiming that Skipper only became headmaster after I left. He also claims to have only spent 3 years at Todd, leaving after his 14th birthday, which as we keep going, we will realize is not the case.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame him trying to remember the end of his life. I can't remember what happened last week, and that hasn't stopped me.
100%. I had a friend text me the other day. He's like, hey, do you remember where you were 10 years ago? And I'm like, I barely remember where I was yesterday, brother. Like, nope. Turns out it was his wedding anniversary, and I was in his wedding. So,
oh shit, man. Oh no,
jackass. Thy name is Steven.
You fucked up.
You done fucked up, Aaron.
Can I hit you with a couple of sad facts real quick before we get more of the Todd School?
Okay.
The Xbox 360 turns 20 years old this year.
Okay.
That sucks, doesn't it? Hey,
Okay.
guess what turns 30 next year? The Nintendo 64. That sucks, doesn't it?
Guess what turns 42 later this year?
Mm.
My aching back.
Yeah. Guess what turns 40 this year? Me.
Oh, it's your 40th.
And my increasingly bad bones. Yeah. I'm at the point where I fell asleep weird on my leg the other night, and then I couldn't walk properly for 3 days. I had to lay in bed and just diagnose and troubleshoot. Like, okay, how was I sleeping? My knee was up in the air. Like, it sucks. So take care of your knees. Take care of your teeth, kids.
And if I may say so, you're back.
And you're back,
As
obviously.
someone who's thrown out his back at least 4 times in his life, take care of your back.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna. I have at least an amusing back injury story to share while we're waiting for the MP3 files of these to download a little later. That will never make the mic because it's literally just filler. While we talk and download MP3s.
I can't wait to hear that, and I'm glad that I will be able to lord over our listening audience that I heard it and they didn't.
I am always willing to talk about how I've hurt myself. So what paragraph did we hit? Let's see. Yeah. In
Wells continues to take full advantage
of his relationship with Skipper. Can't take that seriously. Becoming an almost constant guest in the home, to the delight of Roger and the occasional annoyance of Hortense and the kids. Yeah, there it goes. Hortense knows.
Yeah.
Knows what's up.
She knows what's up.
Jesus Christ.
Wells also manages to forge Dr. Bernstein's signature as a means of getting out of gym and sports classes.
God damn it.
And it is suggested that Roger knew and looked the other way. So basically Orson is that kid who sat on the bleachers through every gym class claiming to have asthma. That was Orson at Todd.
Basically. Orson, you conniving little fuck.
We love him. We really do.
We really do. And we explicitly approve everything he's ever done and every opinion he's ever had. Legally binding. No. Fingers crossed. None of that was true. None of that was... Yeah.
Not a BDSM podcast.
Under Roger's leadership and likely a direct result of his success with young Orson, Todd becomes more of a school for the arts than it had been previously, with Skipper's motto being, every youngster is a creator. Oh, God. Oh, that's...
How's that bile taste in your mouth there, Hope?
Oh. Tastes like tequila and regret.
There it is. I mean, isn't that kind of what tequila already tastes like?
Absolutely fucking not. I drink the worm, motherfucker. Shai-Hulud.
I'm more of a mezcal boy myself. So
I respect it.
It's just like tequila with like smokiness. So
look, we have to establish the lore that I am an extremely cheap date.
Okay. If that's what we have to do, we have to do it.
It's a fundamental part of my lore, I think. Oh, I will be happy with like $4 burger from Burger King and a shot of tequila. That'll keep me going for hours.
There you go. May 1920. Let's skip from 27 to May 1920. We're almost halfway through the whole year.
Fuck 1927. We're in 1928 now.
After 8 days after Orson's 18th birthday on May 14th, 1928, during
the motherfucker is still 13. Jesus, sorry. Keep going.
During the installation of a kitchen ventilator at the Hotel Sheffield, a fire is accidentally sparked while testing the apparatus, carrying a spark upstairs and starting a blaze that would ultimately result in the destruction of the hotel to which Dick Wells had devoted 3 years of his life. Wells historians, guys like Peter Noble and Charles Hyam, would later write that Dick was sleeping off a hangover from the previous night and had to be carried out of the hotel practically kicking and screaming.
Everything about that sentence sucks.
Yeah. Wells himself in a 1983 article, that article as old as I am, for Paris Vogue, Wells would call his father the suspected arsonist, say that he had emerged from the fire in nothing but a nightshirt, carrying an empty parrot cage and a framed photo of a vaudevillian comedian, Trixie Friganza, allegedly one of his old girlfriends.
Jesus Christ, Dick. Come on, man.
But again, this is Orson, ever the raconteur
yeah.
and purveyor of his own myth. So
it's amazing
how much salt as you need to choke it down.
It's amazing how much a framed photo can tell you about a person that owns said framed photo. Growing up in his office, my dad had 2 framed photos on his office at work. And those 2 framed photos were Mahatma Gandhi and Groucho Marx. And I think that really tells you a lot about the man who would raise me.
That says a great deal, quite frankly. And honestly, as your friend, can I just say, confidentially between you and me and no one else,
nobody else,
explains a fucking lot.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something even more upsettingly fundamental to my upbringing about that same office?
Oh, please.
In my dad's waiting room at his office, because he was a chiropractor, because it was the 80s. He had a stack of Calvin and Hobbes and The Far Side.
Yep.
Yeah. And
the two comic collections that I enjoyed the most as a child.
Those I think are the Mount Rushmores of like the fundamentals of my young childhood. Groucho Marx, Mahatma Gandhi, tangentially. In spirit, he's there.
Sure.
The Far Side and Calvin and Hobbes. Yeah.
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 A cow, a tiger, an emaciated Indian man, and a guy with a painted on grease paint mustache.
Hey, Gandhi had a real mustache. I don't know what you're saying there. He's definitely the one, right? Okay, summer of 1928.
Oh God,
his summer home. In the summer home, pile of cinders, and his Jesus Christ! I'm coming into this paragraph with a way weirder energy.
You really are.
With his summer home, a pile of cinders, and his father dealing with insurance claims, Orson is sent to Chicago on break to stay with Dr. Bernstein for the summer. While there, Wells made sure to see the final shows of the season of Goodman and gain admission to the Tavern Club, where he would hobnob with stalwarts of the Chicago art scene, including young pre-fame Preston Sturges. I know that name from a thing, before moving out to Highland Park in August. I love how granular we're getting. Good.
Highland Park it's an area in the I want to say northwest suburbs of Chicago, where Wells actually had his very first performance ever as a child in an opera at Ravinia, which is a outdoor arts venue that still exists. In fact, a gentleman by the name of Weird Al Yankovic is playing there in June.
Oh,
and
interesting.
I am trying to get the Disenfranchised boys to come up to Chicago so that we can all go see it.
Well, he's also performing in at the Mann Theater for the Arts in Philadelphia in September. And when I checked, the tickets were $350 a pop for the not better seats, but the seats.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was my first rock concert ever. My first concert ever.
Never been to a Weird Al show, but that is one of the bucket list artists that I would go see in concert. Like there are very few people I would go see. I went and saw Bob Dylan last year with a friend of mine.
Right.
And like that's like one of those like I've seen Bob Dylan live. Like I'm okay. Like if I see no other concerts, I'll be fine.
It's sitting on the shelf. If I could do some weird body Jenga to get at it, I have the DVD of that tour of Weird Al Yankovic's concert. So yeah, it was my first ever DVD in the year 2000. But since this is the segment where we talk about shows we've seen, Bex and I saw They Might Be Giants in Philadelphia in December. They came to town for my birthday, kicked ass. But do you have like a number one of all time? Because I have like the Kingpin concert of all time that my dad saw to close out the conversation. So what's your best concert you've ever seen?
My best that's a tough one.
Okay. Your favorite.
Honestly, I really fucking love Dylan.
Okay. Yeah, that's a respectable answer.
Like, I just like we walked in at it was the Willie Nelson and his like group like tour.
Jesus.
And so the opener was John Mellencamp, Indiana's own John Mellencamp. So we walked in at the tail end of John Mellencamp and we left right before Willie took the stage because it was like one of those like he may or may not actually show up. We don't know for sure.
Yeah,
so,
one of them.
But we walked in at the tail end of Mellencamp and Mellencamp fucking killed it. Mellencamp is a fucking pro. Had that whole audience eating out of the palm of his hand. And then Dylan just did his thing, which is all you expect of Dylan.
Well,
and it was just for those two, it was fucking great. Like,
fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That rules. Before we get into the next two paragraphs, and my eyeballs caught the words dream analysis, and I'm super excited to see what that's all about. My dad saw on May 16th, 1970, he had just turned 18, if I'm doing my math correctly. He saw the Grateful Dead open for Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that wins for sure.
Yeah. A while back, I actually found a chunk of the Grateful Dead at that specific concert at Temple Stadium, and using just clips that I stole from YouTube of various musical performances and set lists that I found online, I recreated that entire concert that my dad saw for him for Father's Day a few years ago.
That's awesome.
As an MP3. Very proud of that. It's an obscenely huge file. It's obscene.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I have no problem believing it. In fact.
Yeah. I can probably dig it up if you want to give a listen sometime. It's not very good, but you know.
I mean, it's 70s level bootleg, so yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, pretty much. So are we at
August 1928 is where we are.
I did scroll to the correct portion of the program. That's good. Nope, I'm not ready to read because the formatting's being weird. Wells' association with Ned Moore of Highland Park landed Wells as a gig as a Cub reporter. A fun job title for Highland Park News. His column, Hitting the High Notes, clever, purported to share the inside dope on the opera stars, which Orson gained through his acquaintances, the Moores and Guardians, Dr. Bernstein. So he's literally just going to his friends and family for gossip and reporting the gossip.
But he's also attending all the shows at Ravinia, all the operas at Ravinia.
He conned his way into seeing all of the shows.
I mean, the Moores are like an essential part of the Highland Park, like hoi polloi. So of course he's going to be able to get a seat at the table.
Oh yeah.
Wells would later complain of this time as one when he had to frequently rebuff advances from older homosexual men, including an Italian opera singer and the father of one of his Todd classmates. Yep.
So Paul Guggenheim, Wells' friend at Todd, later recounts that he always thought Wells was bisexual. Great. I blind read into this paragraph hoping to get away from the subject, and here we are. Due in part to his refusal to room with Guggenheim. I always had the feeling that he didn't trust himself in the immediate vicinity of a friend, and in part due to a troubling dream Orson recounts to him, which Wells claimed was the result of unpardonable sin. That's fun.
Callow disagrees with that analysis. Basically, through some dream analysis of his own, determines that
the dream analysis came back to haunt me.
Basically, there's it's this dream of him like going up a tower and there's someone dead at every level. Basically, and he basically, Callows reflects this to this idea of a symbolic patricide, in that Wells later in life selects Roger Hill as his preferred caretaker. And so like Callows reading into this, knowing kind of what's coming in Wells's future and kind of reading the tea leaves, as it were. But the dream itself is fucking wild. He's just going up in this tower, and on every floor, there's this dead body laid out on a table, covered with a sheet.
he's even got interesting dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, like, come on, man.
Right.
You just recreated like this fascinating, like, holy shit, that's just Inception before Inception. Only with, hey, bonus, now it's dead dads instead of dead wives.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess definitely preferable. In the fall of 1928, upon returning to Todd for his third year, Wells manages to convince Ned Moore, his Highland Park his benefactor, to loan his extensive music collection to the Todd School. One of his newspaper contacts even manages to reserve a block of tickets for Todd students to the Civic Opera's performances in Chicago. I've actually been to the Civic Opera.
Oh, nice.
My partner actually took me to see Carmen there. Last year. Yeah, which was pretty sweet. Where Wells's knowledge in the area of opera made him very popular among the other boys. Basically, he would explain to them on the way down exactly what the opera was about, and then they would ask him questions during intermission and after the show about what they had just seen. So basically, he was the guy who knew what was going on, so everyone wanted to talk to him.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, all right. Fair enough.
And during this time, Wells is also promoted to the editor of the Red and White, prompting him to publish a Kane-esque declaration of principles.
Oh, Jesus.
And then he also would write a regular column in addition to his inclusion of poetry, and perhaps even inspired by his summer gig, a review of local theatrical performances at Woodstock's local Miller Theater, which is now a movie house, and I kind of want to go see a movie there.
I'm sure we've said it before, and I'm sure we will say it again, but it's actually insane how, like, if you're making a biopic about a famous person, or you're like going back in history and there's like, this person will never amount to anything, Pablo Picasso, and that kind of like, it's almost the worst kind of joke you can make in any, especially like time travel sort of nonsense. It's cheap. It's nonsense. But that is every single page of any biography of Orson Welles. There's at least 4 things on every page where you just go, that's no, that's too on the nose.
Right.
We can't include that. Nobody will believe that he actually wrote a declaration of principles a la Kane.
Right.
Like, come, that's no. Yeah. All right.
No one's going to believe.
All right.
Too on the nose. You're right. And yet, here we are.
Right?
That's who this kid was. And again, I think that we mentioned this early on, like there is, I think, and I think this is part of the auteur theory, is that there's a part of every artist in the work of every artist. Wells would always deny that there was anything of him in any of his works. And I think that was him trying to keep his audience at a distance. But I mean, the more we go into his life and into his youth, we're going to see these themes that continue to recur in his work when we start getting into his films. And we'll come back to these episodes and the things that we talk about in them to draw these parallels between what happened to him and what he chooses to write about and think about and dramatize. Like it's all going to kind of be there on the screen. And I think there is absolutely a part of that is true, that Wells's denial of that was in many ways revealing himself as 100% a part of his work. Yeah.
Doth protest too much.
That's it.
Especially when you're like a celebrity like Wells, who is literally living like in the heads of an entire country.
Absolutely.
When you're that much of a celebrity, your biography just becomes writ large. I do truly love movies that become accidental autobiographies.
Right.
Not like intentional autobiographies like Clerks or The Matrix Resurrections.
Sure.
I mean more like accidental biographies like Citizen Kane or the last 10 minutes of Speed Racer.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's a deliberate autobiography up to a point.
Right.
But yeah.
And Wells is really trying to paint a picture of someone else with Citizen Kane, but ultimately ends up painting a pretty accurate picture of himself on some level.
He manages to kind of nail both to the wall pretty hard, I think.
Again, a thing he would always deny, but again, I think that's a way of him trying to keep his audience at arm's length and kind of keep everyone else at bay, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're getting ready to start 1929, and we've been at this for almost 2 hours, and we're halfway through the notes.
Yeah, I think halfway through the notes is a good place to pause.
Let's call it for this
record.
Episode. Yeah,
let's call it for this episode. I forget how we normally end the show. What do you got as far as plugs?
4 months. Yeah, let's go ahead and just plug some shit, I guess.
Yeah.
I am Stephen Foxworthy. You can find me on Bluesky and Letterboxd. That's it. At Chewy Walrus. I used to be on a lot more social platforms, and then it turns out that Nazi sympathizers own most of the social media networks, so I'm kind of distancing myself from all the rest of them.
Yeah.
So I'm on Blue Sky and I'm on Letterboxd, and that's it.
So, well, you have some other podcasts. I
do. Yes. You could listen to my weekly podcast, Disenfranchised, where myself and my friends Tucker and Brett Wright, future guests of this podcast, I'm sure, discuss failed franchise starters, movies that were supposed to start long-running franchises, and then for one reason or another didn't. Hope has been on several episodes. Check that out in your podcatcher of choice.
We got to get back on. The last episode we were on was the racist chipmunks.
And
yeah.
We got to get you guys back on for sure.
Yeah.
I want to do a DuckTakes Disenfranchised crossover where we talk about DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp.
Oh, thank Christ. Yes, please take the onus of needing to cover that movie out of my hands and into yours.
We can publish it on both of our feeds at the same time if you want.
I don't see why not. No, we'll get to that. We'll burn that bridge when we skin that cat.
I can schedule it whenever. So just let me know and I will get it on there.
Let me get this 5-foot wide beanbag out of this apartment first, and then we'll talk.
I am also a frequent contributor to the Pod and the Pendulum, a horror movie podcast that tackles major horror franchises, one episode and one movie at a time. I was a key part of the coverage of The Exorcist, which we recently wrapped. Will have been months ago by the time this episode comes out. So go listen to that. Those are fun episodes. You should catch me on. I'll be on probably every month or two. So you can absolutely catch me over at the Pod and the Pendulum also. And if you really want to go old school, find the Rule of Thirds podcast, or better yet, don't find that podcast. I didn't know what I was doing, and neither did anyone else I was recording with.
Well, yeah, it's fair.
Hope, what about you?
What about me? Well, social media did a funny thing this year and decided that I was mentally ill. And I am mentally ill, but not for the reasons they say. So you can find me on hiimhope.com. That's HIGH, imhope.com. That is just, I'm taking it back. Fuck social media. I'm taking it back old school. Anything I put out that's not on my Tumblr will be found, which, let's be real, my Tumblr is almost exclusively lesbians.
I was going to say that, that feels very niche, but you're niche.
Come on. Yeah. I'm a Tumblr girl. I don't know what to tell you. It's shitpost the website, but hiimhope.com. Right now, as of the time of this record, it's mostly wedding photos. And this is also the first time I'm promoting it on this podcast, but it will have been live the whole time you've heard this podcast.
Correct.
Because we're broken people.
Yep. Broken people with really rough schedules.
Yeah, but you can find all of my shit there. The Matrix, Reclamations, DuckTakes podcasts I do with Ella Cesare and Bex Stow, my spouse, respectively. Yeah, and I'm hoping to actually get some of my creative writing put out on my website. Yeah, so here's, if I can, man, once I have time to do something besides sleep, I'd love that. But yeah, that's what I got. Otherwise, don't find me.
There it is.
Yeah.
Don't.
No, don't.
And that is all for class. So for next week, we're going to be talking 1929 to 1931. Basically Orson's remaining years at the Todd School. And again, primary sources are going to remain the same. The notes are already done, which is nice. So we can probably just pick up this recording any night both of us are free, which is really nice.
Let's do that. Yeah.
So until next time, that is all for this class period. We'll catch you next time. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you for coming. And I'm just going to put this out there now. I am a member of the faculty that is more than willing to accept bribes.